Gone very difficult first round game for you there against Rob Milkins, but you've come through it 4-3 in the end. How do you feel?
Relieved. I started the match well, good century to kick things off, surprised myself. And Rob's a bit too classy to just roll over, never going to roll over. Took his chances well, and of course it ended up at 3 each, and then it's anyone's, isn't it? And, I had a really good chance to make a nice clean kill, obviously messed it up, but then was very pleased to get over the line in the end.
And before that, he had the first chance really in that decider, didn't he? He just miscued on that red. Were you sitting in your chair wondering if you were going to get back to the table?
Yeah, definitely, because there was although the pack was close, there was a couple of good reds that you could split the pack and expect to be on one of those two. So it was a good chance. It made me jump actually when he miscued. I wasn't actually watching the shot. I was trying to gather my thoughts, but it surprised me. And listen, it happens to all of us. And unfortunately, it was his turn today.
But when you got the chance, you made a good 60-odd, which in the end was enough to win the frame. It must always be nice to know that you still got that in the locker to make that crucial break in the last frame.
Yeah, I mean, there's never been anything wrong with my bottle, or whatever the right word for that is. There's never been any problems there, but sometimes I just play myself out of it by perhaps being a bit aggressive here and now, but that's the way I've always played. I'm 38 now. I'm too old now to start thinking of changing and going more negative. So I've just decided, this is the stage of my life, and I've got probably 6, 7, 8 more years in this sort of stage of the game, maybe 10 pushing it into my mid to late 40s, and I'm going to enjoy myself and go for my shots, and it's worked today. And
just tell us a little bit about your life back in Dublin where you live, because obviously this whole coronavirus situation has been hard for everyone, but it's hit you particularly hard.
Yeah, I mean, listen, we've all got our troubles, and it is affecting every single person. But, a slight unique scenario for myself and the other boys living in the Republic of Ireland specifically is that when we travel home from England, you're expected to stay in your house for your entirety of your stay, up to a maximum of 14 days, whether you've been tested or not. Now, there'll be very few people in Dublin who've been tested more than me, and thankfully I've been negative every single time. But that doesn't count for anything. At the minute I set foot on the island of Ireland, having been in England, then I have to stay in my house. So I had a good 2 weeks between the European Masters and this event, so there was no way I was going to stay. I would never want to be away from the kids for that length of time, unless you were playing, of course. And so I took the decision to go home, but obviously knowing that I'm not going to get a chance to hit any balls. So it's difficult, it's very hard being out there trying to perform to such a high level in such a short match, having not played. Very difficult.
Yeah, what's it like coming here today and just basically going into a match cold without any or hardly any practice under your belt?
Yeah, very, very difficult, as I say. I mean, I did come over a day early. I had a couple of hours up there at my old club in Sheffield. A good friend of mine, Kevin Johnston, said I could go and use the table that's still there. And I had a couple of hours there just on my way down here. And then, strangely, none of us were allowed to access the practice facilities here until we had a negative test. Well, I only found that out this morning, having been tested yesterday, by which time all of the practice slots have already gone here. So I walked out to play today. It's the worst possible scenario for a sports person. The balls I hit today were the first ones I'd hit in 2 days. Now, that's not where you want to be, but certainly by things out of my control, that's the situation I find myself in.
Are you looking at, perhaps in sort of November, December, we've got a run of maybe 3 or 4 events. Are you looking at whether you can find somewhere in England where you can get more practice time during that period?
Well, certainly when there's a run of events, I go home after this event because there's a little gap. I mean, no one wants to be away from their kids, right? So I'll go home after this event, come what may. And then when I come back, I'm potentially here then in England until December the 20th. And that's what I'm looking at. So, I'll kiss the kids goodbye and see you when Santa comes.
Yeah, it's a difficult situation for everyone, isn't it? But congratulations today, Sean. You're still in this one, and look forward to the rest of the week.
Thanks a lot. Cheers.